Hi, this is John with Performance Plus Tennis. Welcome to the lesson today. And of course, we're starting out in the Performance Plus Tennis studio, and then we're going to head out to the court in just a moment. Today's lesson is all about forehand grips and how the grip really influences the structure of your forehand, in particular contact points. It's critical that you understand where the ideal contact points are for the various grips to generate power and control in your forehand and reach your full potential as you achieve the professional quality forehand that we're all after. So today's lesson is going to get into the grips, into the structure. It's really going to help you if you're trying to really nail down what ideal grip is for you and how to generate power and control and know exactly where the contact points are for the various grips. And before we do that, many of you probably know this already, but we do want to go through what the grip form is all about and how you can use the form of the grip to help you. And of course, the shape of the grip is an octagon with 8 different sides. And for a right-handed player, we start with number 1 on the top, and number 2 is the first bevel to the right, and 3 is the first bevel that's vertical, and then 4, 5 is directly underneath, 6 is the next bevel, 7 is the flat, and 8 is over here. So if you're a right-hander, you really want to concern yourself with 2, 3, and 4. 5, we'll get into that a little bit in the video. And of course, if you're a left-hander, this is just reversed as shown in the illustration. So make sure you understand the grip and the grip positions so that really helps you understand where your hand is on the handle. So let's head out onto the court. But at the end of the video, we're going to come back to the studio. I'm going to present a couple more things to you that are going to help you even more with your forehand. So first up, we're going to examine the Continental Grip and look at the reasons why the Continental Grip is not the ideal grip of choice for the modern forehand. And as we already know, the Continental Grip is where the hand is really on top of the handle in what I call the hammer grip, where we have a straight line from the tip of the shoulder to the end of the racket. And if I were to play a forehand with this grip and have a vertical racket face moving low to high for topspin, I would have to hit the ball behind me. Because by the time I get out in front where my arm is in a natural position for most shots, most forehands, the racket face would be open unless I were able to roll my hand forward, and you can see that that actually rolls my shoulder into a weak position. So for me to try to hit a Continental Grip forehand out in front would be almost impossible to do and really have any power or control. So I would be forced to hit the ball more alongside of me. And that would be difficult because I really don't have any leverage or power in this point. The other reason why the Continental Grip is not the grip of choice in modern tennis is we're playing so many balls at the high contact point, chest level and shoulder level. And the Continental Grip just does not lend itself at all to getting up to a high contact and having any power. So it really doesn't lend itself at all to modern tennis. And that's why we don't see it at all amongst high performance players in today's game. The other challenge with the Continental Grip is that in order to really generate topspin, you have the feeling, the sensation that you have to flip the racket over. So we don't want to be rolling the racket over, but that's the only way you can feel like you can get topspin with this grip. Because when you make contact where you're with the Continental Grip alongside of you, your racket's not moving low to high. So all of a sudden we start trying to compensate and recruit a movement that doesn't make any sense at all. So you'll usually see Continental Grip players on the forehand have more of a flipping quality to the forehand, which leads to a lot of inconsistency. Next up is the Eastern Forehand Grip. And of course, that's where, as I've just talked about earlier, the palm of your hand is going to be more on the back of the handle and be more related to the racket face. And this is the grip of choice if you're a beginning player and you're really just trying to learn the fundamentals of your forehand. This is what I highly recommend because it does relate the racket face to the palm of your hand. So if you imagine hitting a ball with the palm of your hand and the racket face becomes an extension of your hand, it makes it very comfortable and very natural for you, okay? And this grip allows for contact point to be further out in front where you have more power, you have more leverage, you can see the ball better. All good things happen out here, and this grip allows you to be in that position. It's much more stable too. You can see that at contact, everything is behind the racket that provides stability to the stroke. The hand, the wrist, elbow, and shoulder are all behind the racket to create stability. So the Eastern Forehand Grip is a great grip to start with. You can also hit topspin at all different levels. You can pick up low balls with the Eastern Forehand. You can play medium, and you can play high contacts. So the Eastern Forehand Grip is a terrific grip and a great choice because it allows for a stroke structure that will allow you to be versatile, generate power and spin, and to ultimately become very, very consistent. Next up is the Western Grip. And as I mentioned earlier, the Western grip originated really in the Western United States, where all the tennis is being played on hard courts and the balls tend to be high. It also evolved in the 70s when there was a lot of junior tennis being played on the hard courts and the balls were high and the kids were having trouble hitting these high contacts. So it became comfortable and natural to have your palm under the handle in what's really a full Western grip. And if I were to take my hand away, you'd see my palm is virtually horizontal and my index finger knuckle is really on the bottom bevel. And there's your Western grip. Now this grip is definitely used in high performance tennis as well, but it does lack versatility and is a little bit complicated and is not ideal for recreational players. And one of the biggest challenges that you have when you have this grip is that if you go out to extend and get a nice extension, the racket face will be closed down on the ball. So if I were to get my racket face to be vertical at this point, watch how this becomes uncomfortable in my shoulder. See how I lost the position of my shoulder? It's got power. So I'm in a weak position, but if I put my racket face down, look how my shoulder is now powerful. So what we're looking for as we develop our strokes are movement patterns and positions that create natural leverage so you can have power and control. So what happens with most players that have a Western grip? They're going to compensate for this position by bending the elbow more and having the contact point be closer to the body. So most of the players you're going to see that have this grip are going to be in a position of contact for a medium height where the elbow is actually lower than the hand. So I think this is a pretty weak position as well. So if I just remove the racket from my hand and I put the hand this way in a natural position, I feel a lot of power. I feel like I can really press out and drive out on the ball. If I put my hand this way, now that power is gone. I don't have the same leverage or power from the big muscle, the shoulder muscle, to really drive out. So if you just take your hand and put it above your elbow and try to do the same thing, now you're in a very weak position. And the only way you can get the racket face to be vertical is to bring it in. So you see all these players playing close to the body and inside with a bent elbow and the elbow below the hand, which I think is a very weak position. The other challenge with the Western grip also is low balls. Very, very difficult to execute and really get the low ball up and over the net because the racket face is going to be very, very closed. So unless you're skillful at playing and maneuvering your wrist and trying to get the ball over or doing some other weird movement, awkward movement, you really can't play that low ball very comfortably. And that's very important for you not only as a player who's maybe working on a grip, but also important for you to be able to identify your opponent's grips and to be able to play into their strengths and weaknesses. And a player with a Western grip on the forehand, their weakness is generally going to be low balls. So keep an eye out for that. So as you can tell, I'm really not an advocate of the Western grip, especially for the recreational level. You'll very rarely see an adult player later on in life in particular who can actually execute this shot with this grip, the forehand with this grip. Because what happens also is you have to really work the ball, mostly from the forearm. There's a lot of forearm work involved in this, and it's going to lead to injuries and weakness, and it requires a range of motion that's very, very difficult to sustain as we get older. So I definitely am not an advocate of the Western grip. Of course, the Western grip is not very versatile, but you can use it for medium height balls, and you can use it for shoulder high balls. And again, this is really where it originated because a lot of players were hitting balls up here, especially kids back in the 70s when they were learning tennis. This was a common contact point, and this grip supported that contact point. But ultimately, it does lack versatility and is not the ideal grip for your modern forehand. So next up is the SemiWestern grip. And the SemiWestern grip is halfway between the Eastern forehand grip and the Western grip. And it's kind of a hybrid grip that gives you the versatility of the Eastern grip and also the ability to spin the ball like the Western grip. So in a SemiWestern grip, as I mentioned earlier, your index finger knuckle is going to be on bevel number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're going to be halfway between the Eastern and the full Western grip. And this grip gives you the versatility to play low balls, medium balls, and high balls, and hit excellent topspin, have excellent power and control. And it also gives you the same degree of support as the Eastern grip, but it really allows for a more natural and more comfortable upward swing. So you can generate more topspin. Most players can generate more topspin with the SemiWestern grip at the 3 different contact heights than the Eastern grip. More players that have an Eastern grip tend to hit a little bit flatter. So if you're a player that's looking to generate more topspin, moving your hand from the Eastern to slightly underneath to the semi-Western is something that you can experiment with, and I think you can find that you can generate more spin and more power with that grip. So I think the semi-Western grip ultimately is the ideal grip for most players to be playing with. However, when you're beginning and you're just getting your foundation built, I strongly advocate the Eastern grip because it's just so comfortable to square the strings up on the ball and get a solid contact. And once you get the feel for really stroking and getting the form and the technique of your swing built, if you go to the semi-Western grip, it is a very natural transition to start generating more topspin because you already have developed the feel of your swing. So, if in doubt, start with the Eastern, work on your fundamentals with the Eastern grip, and then go to the semi-Western to create more performance, more power, more spin, and no compromise in versatility. To conclude, I really advocate playing with a semi-Western grip ultimately, but I really favor using an Eastern grip to get the foundation of your forehand built first, because it's so comfortable and so natural to square the racket up on the ball and really build your swing technique and form with the Eastern grip. And then once you really have a great feel for your swing, just making the slight adjustment to a semi-Western is a natural transition that will allow you to generate more power and more spin and still retain the same versatility as the Eastern grip. And you might be thinking, you know, I've been playing for a while and I'm playing with, with a certain grip, John, and can I really change my grip? And I think that in my experience, the answer is yes, you can. I've witnessed more players that have been able to make grip adjustments on the forehand side than any other shot in tennis. Maybe it's because we hit a lot more forehands than anything else, but I think you can make subtle grip adjustments that are going to help you. So if you are playing in a full Western, think about the long term for your tennis and what you really can't do here in the long run. So if you can start to work your way subtly over to a semi-Western, it's really going to help you in the long run to be able to play a higher performance forehand and avoid the risk of injury and have much more versatility. Conversely, if you're playing with an Eastern grip or something that's a little bit more like a soft Eastern, maybe towards a Continental, you can gradually make incremental changes and get yourself into a full Eastern, and then maybe even slide a little further into what may be a modified Eastern grip or ultimately a semi-Western. But I think at the end of the day, it is feasible to make grip adjustments and change the structure of your forehand. So that's the wrap up on forehand grips and how the grip greatly influences the swing structure and the contact points. So I hope this is really helpful for you as you develop your forehand and try to really improve it into a professional quality weapon. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and turn on your notifications because we're releasing new content every week that'll help you build your tennis game. We have a free gift. If you click on the link down below, gain access to our library of lessons on our website, where I reveal and present all the principles you need to master on every stroke in tennis to develop your full potential. Thanks again for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.